You can kind of feel it.
Well, we had a streak going there where that was like experience after experience. It was like we would all finally get back at the same base. We'd get a vehicle. We'd get in it. We'd start going, and then it would get blown up. Whether it was helicopter, Jeep, van,
remember that other day when we were driving down the middle of that town, and then that soldier and that Russian soldier came out into the middle of the street. We could tell, like, I think Pepe's like, "Is that a bad guy?" And then all of a sudden you hear it.
Then it's boom, and it's black, and then you're looking at the map, and like you've lost contact with everyone, and you're like, there's not, you can't even have that moment where you're like, well, that went bad, like, you're just like, fuck.
Welcome gamers, non-gamers, PvEers, PvPers, and even NPCs. We don't discriminate. This is the New Wave Gaming Podcast, episode 64. Right, Chuck?
That's right.
Oh, yeah. What's up, Chuck?
Hey, how's it going?
All good, man. Co-host Chuck and Ovox here, and we are very excited to talk about Arma Reforger. We touched on this on our last episode, right?
Yeah.
Episode 63. Very excited to talk about the new update. And before that, I wanted to do a little bit of housekeeping because I think I mentioned that, the community of Arma was super, super friendly, rated PG, extremely helpful, never saying anything too nar. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was wrong. It was just a matter of time.
Yeah, I almost feel the need to defend you because you weren't completely wrong, because we have ran into some gems but I just remember thinking when I hadn't played, which I have now since our last episode, so our listeners know that.
Oh yeah, that's important to mention. And
yeah.
Our last episode, Chuck had never played before.
Yeah, now I have, and yeah, you were sharing with me how the community was so awesome and helpful and everything, and I remember thinking it won't be when I get in there. And literally, my very first experience was like we stole a man's Humvee. Like I feel like we're even like the bad guys in the origin story.
That was my fault. And I remember
a vehicle that has 3 seats, and 4 of us run up there, and it's somebody else's vehicle. 2 of us get in, and I'm standing outside of it. Somehow Ovox convinces him to get out of the vehicle, and it takes it. I'm watching it happen, and his gun starts pointing at you.
That guy was so pissed.
He was furious, said he gets I know you can hear me. He's like everything you described about how the radio works. I was like, yeah, looks like he's on the platoon channel. Take it. And then I said, wow, I remember I had to work him for the government flashback because he filed a complaint and then he got kicked out of the server. He said, that's bullshit. Somebody stole my van. And then he said some kind of racist craziness and then he got kicked.
I can't talk.
Oh God.
I'm crying.
And something I don't even know that you noticed. You didn't acknowledge it in the game, but not long later he was back and we were standing beside him. We were I think his gamer tag was SMG something. And we literally,
I didn't notice that.
I don't think
because they voted to kick him out.
He
got
did
kicked
come
out.
back, and we were literally we had to get in a vehicle with him again, and we were all it felt so awkward to me. I was just like, yep, this is exactly how I felt like this would be.
I remember telling you too. I'm like, gosh, Chuck, I feel bad. I'm sorry, man. Last time we played this game, everybody was so nice. But you know what? It hadn't dawned on me that I was the one that stole the Humvee. I thought he was going to stay in there. I was like, this is perfect. There's like enough spots for us to get in, but I didn't realize there was a moment there where I did make a call to just keep driving away because he did come through the chat. He's like, "Hey, that was our Humvee," and his voice started to get lower. That was our Humvee, and he started like shooting in our direction. So I could have stopped.
Yeah, the proximity chat makes it so cool because you hear this fading away.
And then he started coming through the platoon chat. That's right. And
I know you.
And someone said, and someone said, "Hey man, that happens. Don't worry about it, man. Relax." And then someone put him up to get kicked and voted. So by the time I was pulling up on the objective, this guy that we stole that Humvee from wasn't even there anymore. But I didn't realize he came back though.
He did.
Oh wow, that was hilarious. Yeah, so apologies, fellow gamers. I needed to do a little housekeeping there.
Yeah. Well, and you hit on it too. I think you were in like a golden era when it had just released on PlayStation and you were playing, you turned off cross-platform. So everyone was new. There was no one that, I think a lot of the realities of how the game works and how the supplies are shared amongst everyone and sort of, yeah,
100%.
Yeah,
I accept. I have accountability there. That was me. That was on me. But still, independent from that situation, we have seen some toxic chat go down, which in the beginning was like not even happening.
Yeah.
But it was just a matter of time.
Yeah.
It was just a matter of time. It's still not as bad as other games. Right?
I know, and this game, man, it is kind of hard to stay together as a squad. Like we can, and I do think there's even some abilities we're not using yet, like portable radios and stuff that you can spawn on that, that I've seen videos about that I don't necessarily know how to use myself just yet. But but it is hard to stay together because we're in the game chat, and when you die, like you don't get to say, "Oh, they got me" or whatever. You're just fucking gone, man. Like it's like he was right beside me. Like in 1 second you're talking and you're gone.
It's like the Predator movie, dude. All of a sudden Schwarzenegger's alone, dude, and he's putting mud on his body. I gotta survive.
You're like, Ovox, come in. Ovox, come in. It's dead. So you're like, oh shit. You hear an explosion or something, and then he's gone, and so you got to kind of regroup back at the base and respawn and then, call back on the radio. It takes a minute to get back together. So you do end up with other people. And some of my funnest experiences have been when we're kind of intermixed with the other people and there's really no way for them to know that we know each other,
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And we're just like, like kind of being our normal selves or
Well, and the last couple of times we've played, we've kept in the PlayStation party chat. So, which is nice in a way because like precisely when those things happen and one of us dies and we get spawned, back at one of the main camps or operating bases, we can still talk if we're in that PlayStation party chat. But it's not supposed to be like that, Yeah. So you're right. There's moments where it's really it's challenging in that fashion. But you're right. I also think you're right about like we're still unlocking, the meta of the game and how it's meant to be. How you can really get into it and play. Like for example, an example of this would be yesterday when, after putting a certain amount of hours into the game, we've discovered that, hey, if you want to stop them from spawning in, disassemble their relay. Mm-hmm. Deconstruct it or whatever it's called, disassemble. So what did we do? We're like, oh, that's right. And we ran up and we started, we were covering and then the other squad mates were digging that thing up. I think it was you and Pepe Tortilla were digging that thing up and then boom, it disappeared. And after that, there was one guy left. We dealt with him and it was over and we had that spot.
Yeah.
So we're starting to figure these things out, like
Yeah.
Where a couple of sessions back, we would have never disassembled the relay, and they would have kept spawning in, and and then there we would have been just doing all these different like Jeep rides. Oh, let's get back to Introdu. Let's get back to Introdu, and all that vicious cycle happens like you're talking about. And there are other forms to create spawn points.
Mm-hmm.
Like mobile spawn points. I think there's like a mobile command unit or something.
I saw this guy like he kind of got a radio out of a backpack and put it on the ground, and then this little antenna went up, and like there was something to like how many supplies like he had, like it kind of. It's not like you can spawn a ton of people there because every time they spawn in, it takes supplies. But like they definitely were, using that. But dude, there's this huge sense of realism in that fact that, like I say, just 1 second you're there, and the next second there's an explosion and it's gone, and you're just you might even be knocked out, like, and still like I love those parts of the game, man. That feels so real.
Man. Yeah, it is. There is something about it, but you do got to play it the right way so that it doesn't get boring or repetitive, or because I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but sometimes you'll be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go and play this game, and then you'll actually sit down at the couch or whatever, or sit down at your desk, and you actually grab the controller, and then when you're actually like really thinking about what it's gonna take. To play that game, the energy investment and everything, and like the back and forth, you're like,
yeah.
And then that's when YouTube comes on, or you throw on Netflix instead, or you'll go on to a more slow burn type of game where you can kind of just chill, because you're just a chill guy.
Yes. A lot of what you're describing there were a lot of my initial hesitation. You add like, just not having a ton of energy to learn a new game, and learning getting harder as you get older, like new things. It was enough to have a pause there, and I saw how much fun you're having, and the clips I was seeing were enough to say this is obviously worth it. But I could tell it was complex.
Oh man, sorry. Yeah, it's complex, and I think we've still. I'm not going to say. Oh, sorry. I'm not going to say we've barely scratched the surface. I think we've certainly gone past scratching the surface, but we're definitely not at the depths of the meta of this game. We're still learning things and discovering things. I've only used like 2 or 3 vehicles out of all of the vehicles that are in the game. There's tons of vehicles. There's tons of different weapons. I've only, my go-to loadout is the general issue weapon they give you, plus a silencer, plus a regular laser dot, but there's so much more. Like something I know you can do, but I haven't done yet is, when it's nighttime, which they fixed, and we'll bring that up. They fixed on the PlayStation 5. If you have one of those assault rifles with a launcher on the bottom, you can put flare rounds in there, and just right out of your rifle, launch flares into the air. That'll light up the whole thing. I didn't know that. I thought the flare was like a road flare type of thing, that you'd like a grenade type of thing that you'd throw in the air, boom, and throw it. But no, it's like you shoot it. Like, I didn't know that.
Honestly,
just these little things
that like especially before they fixed the darkness like somehow ended up extra strong on PlayStation, and
man.
Like they have
capital D, man, darkness.
Yeah, I can't like kind of quote completely the scene, but I know there's a scene like that in the movie Platoon where I think it's kind of like maybe simulating something that actually happened in the war called the Tet Offensive, and like they're all at this base getting attacked, and like I was in a situation where I was attacking a base and they were launching flares, and it literally felt like living that fucking movie, dude. I mean, the sight lines, like you can hear them but you can't see them, and then suddenly there's this big ass flare that's like, whatever engine they used, it really interacts with the trees and shit. So like there's shadows and like places you can still hide when that flares up, that just blew my fucking mind. Like it felt so
Yes. It's called the infusion engine. That's what they're working on, and it does.
God. Like it is so fucking real, dude. Like I mean, we ended up in that one thing. Like it was like in the darkness. Like I think it's different on each server, maybe, but it lasted hours. We were just laying in the dirt, like laying in the grass outside this base. You know, and you got that proximity chat, and we could hear like it sounded like some, you know, just I don't know, it sounded more like high school type age kids are in there, and like we're in they were calling the tent the Love Shack, and we're just, you know, all just joking about the fact they were all, you know, hiding in there, and like we could hear everything. It was insane.
Chuck,
it's so real.
Yeah, I did. There was a moment where I think I had been killed, but you were the last one there. Like they hadn't spotted you yet, and you were, you know, belly down, low crawling. And I remember I don't remember what exactly you said, but I could hear in your voice how you were really like, emotionally active with this game. Just like you really. I don't remember what you said. I wish I could remember.
I said we're gonna rip them up or something, like, because I was watching them through my scope.
Oh yeah, you were
through my
saying,
sights.
I can see them. I can hear them. That's what you were saying. You were saying things
I had
like
a chance where I could have killed 2 of them, and I just didn't want to give up our position, you know, and like the thrill of watching that, like, you know, it's way up there, dude. Like, I think too, like that, like what we're talking about, how hard it is to get back with your squad, like adds like almost like the difference of playing like a regular game versus hardcore, where if you die and you lose everything, like, you know, there's a huge penalty for dying. Like you can't just respawn, right? You kind of can. Like if the fight's a certain way, like you might be able to literally respawn right back. You know, if we're defending a base. But if we've had to travel way the fuck over there and are assaulting like an enemy base, like it's going to be a motherfucker. You're going to have to interact with people you don't know and organize a vehicle and all kind of shit just to get back over there. You know, and I know you can't talk to me because you guys are right there hidden, you know, and like it's
because they can hear us too.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like so the you feel that, like you feel like the death is something you don't want, you know, just more, and which, you know, is how it is in real life, and yeah, I mean
it's a mil sim.
Yeah,
that's
some of those first nights, like I thought to myself, like I'm not sure this is good for me. Like, you know, like I'm pretty sure this is like trauma, like a little bit.
This is why they put epilepsy warnings in the beginning of video games.
Yeah, I feel a little traumatized.
I'm gonna fucking freak out. Yeah, I might start flopping on the ground here.
Yeah, it's not very forgiving too in a lot of ways. Like if you just try to, you know, rush in and think you're going to dominate, like it's
the wrong move. You really got to use you know, actual strategy and tactics, you know, like cover and move, you know, cover fire, all those things, you know, and it's especially like if you're in that situation and then you get hit but you don't die, you get knocked unconscious, and you can kind of like see and hear what's going on, and you hear footsteps and everything. That also just adds on to the anxiety level. Like
knocks your weapon out of your hands.
Because you might make it, and then you might get back up, and they haven't, you know, finished you off. And then the first thing is, you know, do I start healing real quick while I'm here lying down? And because you're still bleeding out likely. There are times where you'll get hit, and it'll just like ping off your helmet and it'll knock you unconscious, but you're not actually like hit. That can happen too. At least it happened to me once.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you'll get torn up, you know, and then you'll come to, and then like the enemy hasn't finished you off. So you're like, okay, well, you know, where's my rifle? Because you'll drop your rifle. Chuck, you can talk. You can.
Well, I didn't know that at first, so I ended up. I just crawled over and got in a vehicle, and we drove somewhere else. And I got out like
all gun ho.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Like getting shit out of my inventory to kind of look like I
You're running in with
checking my shovel out here, like.
pretty sure there's a melee button somewhere around here.
I'm pretty sure too. Like that's like I know for like being a firefighter. Like if you lose your tool, like it's like game over. Like I mean you're going to be made fun of from now on. So I can only extrapolate that to the military. If you lost your gun,
dude, yeah, I think it's like especially in the Marine Corps, it's like. There's a certain sacredness they have with their rifle, you know? Yeah,
it's like a new nickname for the rest of your life at worst, or at best. Like, I mean, and so, yeah, but you got to find that rifle again. Like it'll be near your body, but when you get knocked out, you'll lose that fucker, and you gotta scoop that up. And man, there's a lot of little unforgiving things like that in there that, make it more real, but are also like a little bit of a struggle to deal with at times, like.
Yep. Yeah. Like, there's no reticle, just your iron sights or your scope. So you really do gotta, it's something else, isn't it, Chuck?
Well, I don't want to
enemy. I don't want to repeat stuff that we already talked about in that last episode, but isn't it, now that you've played it, there is something to that, huh?
Yeah, well, and I feel like in real life this would be the case as well. Like just identifying the enemy, it seems near impossible, and the chance for friendly fire. Like you hear people constantly saying like friendlies coming up on this position, like heads up, like and like. It is so fucking hard, dude, to
Yeah, you really got to look at their uniform, and even then there's times where they'll like, okay, so a great example is if you're on the US faction, they're wearing BDU, battle dress uniform, right? Which is that classic, I'm going to say classic now for sure, because it's, it's certainly a uniform of the past, because now they use the digital kind, but those old BDUs is that classic camouflage that we're familiar with from old army movies and military movies,
like first Gulf War and behind that, right, that time, late 80s, early 90s.
Indeed,
yeah.
And yep, definitely. I'd even say like Nam, that's the uniform they were wearing, right?
Yeah,
the traditional BDU. I mean, that's what they wore. I believe. Pretty sure. I definitely don't want to make a mistake on something like that, but. So yeah, like, but in the Russian, the normal typical Russian uniform in the game is kind of just like, what do they call that? A regular drab or just a regular uniform?
I don't even know what it is. I feel like the way I identified him was more like the hat, like he didn't have a helmet on. He had like more like a beret looking thing. The one guy I got a good look at, but I don't even know. Even at this point.
Well, it's green and they do wear a helmet. Some of them have a helmet, and some of them have like a camouflage style uniform. But the general uniform it's not a BDU. It's just a solid green, kind of a light, like forest color green, one singular green, right? And they have like the armor plating on there or whatever, the backpack type thing, whatever. I forget what it's called, but you can, you can like, you do have to get a really good view on them.
Well, and each individual player can change when you're playing against other players. They can change that up, and
yes,
I don't know if you remember the other night. Like we had that one guy that was really hidden up in this building and just kept drilling us. And like I just happened to, everybody was looking for him, and I saw this guy, and I was like. I was just waiting for the thing to pop up over his head that it was one of us, looking for him. And I got a little closer, and it didn't. And I was like. Fuck it. I don't care if I'll say I'm sorry if it's one of us. Like, there's enough here that, it really feels like it might not
Evidence
be.
Evidence is leaning against you there, brother.
We're going to find out for sure right here. And I mowed him down, and I think at first I said I got him, but I didn't push, like, to talk. And so I just said that to myself, essentially. And then a couple of seconds later, I said it, and then I think we all went and teabagged him a few times because he had killed us all, like, numerous times from that building.
Allegedly.
Yeah,
alleged teabags may have occurred.
Allegedly, yeah.
We can neither confirm nor deny.
But it was like, I was kind of being a little conserved about it, but inside I was like, fuck yeah, because he had gotten me a few times.
It was a bad guy for sure, because if it was friendly fire, it would have you would have lost rank. It says when you hit a friend, it'll come up on the screen and you'll know.
Yeah.
So, never like, so if you ever like down someone and then finish them off and you're kind of concerned, like, man, I'm not really sure if that was friendly fire or not. No, you'll know because it'll say. So don't worry about that. No, I remember that battle. That was fun. That was a good battle.
Yeah.
That was a good battle.
That felt good, man. And, like you mentioned last episode, there's no hit marker. There's no like little ding dopamine. Like you literally, it feels like real life. Like when you shoot, like it reminds me like deer hunting or whatever, like you look and like, like you got to assess what's happened from there. And, there could be a tracking involved and just, there's no game to say like, here's what's going on, like.
Nope. Sometimes if you hit them in a vital spot, you can kind of see the enemy kind of just drop, they'll kind of just like,
yeah.
And that's when you get, okay. So remember when we were talking about this in the last episode and I was trying to describe how in its own way, it's its own dopamine, like, because there's no ping or notification or little like weird red X or anything, you just see them kind of just go, or it's whoa. It kind of has its own like,
yeah. And you feel like the mood change across the whole battlefield. Suddenly everybody that was on the ground is standing up and walking around and like, it's like, we got that fucker, that was in the tree line over there. It's like it changes the whole, like, you got him. It's a.
Yeah. And it does. Oh man, that's nuts, huh?
Cause it's almost the opposite in Call of Duty.
Nuts.
It's like all those dings and things go off, but then like all that's forgotten. Like I said, this like, especially when it's a lone kind of sniper like that, like plaguing your base, like those.
Yeah, there's also like a form of like you're contributing to you're keeping your squad, your bros and sisses, because I have heard a couple of ladies there in the platoon chat. Yeah, every now and then. So you're taking care of your family there, You got that threat.
Well, you're earning your keep. Like you've had to use up supplies, all those respawns and shit you've been doing. It's factoring in. Not exactly like normal, like where kills, sort of add up, but it's more about territory is kind of the way I'm taking it. But it matters,
Oh, it matters too. And like, I remember this one time, I don't know if you were on with us at this point yet, but Pepe Tortilla and I we were with another squad, and we got one of those really good squad leaders, kind of like the other day when we got that really good helicopter pilot. You can tell when they're like good, like a good-hearted gamer, like, oh man, this guy's cool,
Mm-hmm.
We were with someone like that, and he was like really invested in the squad, including Pepe Tortilla and I, even though we had just joined him. And like, I remember Pepe went down and he was like, we have a man down. Get you, like, who's closest, who has, and Pepe Tortilla's down. I don't remember exactly what he said, but he called in someone with like, we need our medic, and he had like someone that was like focused on that role. And he came in and he's like, give him morphine first. It'll help him. It'll help him come out of unconsciousness quicker. Which I didn't know. That's if you're listening, fellow Arma player, that's a tip right there. Like, if you have a player that's down, don't go right to bandage. Go to morphine so that so that the player will wake up faster, and then they can do their own medical, conundrum, bandaging and stuff. But anyways, the point was that every time someone went down, this guy was like, man down. Not just like, not even saying anything. Most people won't even say anything. You'll just be like, you just keep playing on. But this guy was like actively like looking out for other players, and then when one was fully like gone, notifying everyone else so that we could be aware of that. Yeah. So it was really cool. That was a unique moment I found. That was fun. Anyways,
I love that shit when people are kind of role playing a little bit. Like it kind of makes me want to like something I've sort of experienced on social media. There is that there are role playing servers like where folks have literally taken on certain jobs and have responsibility. Like are kind of using the chain of command like how it is in the military. So you're literally having to report to the colonel and they're making decisions and shit like that. Like that. That might be something to look into eventually, but I'm almost tempted to do that because I feel like I could fly those helicopters. I read the instructions the other day, like in.
Well, you can do the tutorial too, and they'll teach you in game. If you go to the,
I haven't done that. I have
do
done
the training
some
because you'll get a trophy for
trainings,
finishing
but
it.
I haven't done any helicopter ones. But like because it's pretty rare for people to know how to fly it. Like I think if you do know how to fly it, like everybody's willing to let you do it. And it almost seemed like that's what that guy was doing. He was just flying helicopter the whole time, like, offering to ferry people. And
every time I've tried getting my piloting going, man, we'll like take off and we'll come up, and then all of a sudden you'll just hear boom, and then we like all of a sudden there's a long list of dead people on my screen, and I'm just like, now I gotta go to sleep and take that with me.
Yep.
It's gonna give me nightmares. I just got a whole helicopter of troopers blowing out of the sky, and that's literally what it sounds like a tire popping kind of like that like air coming out because it's always an RPG, just going.
Yep.
Oh no! You hear it, and then it's just like, and then the screen just goes. I'm just like, yeah. It's hard. I don't want to yell into the mic, but it's just like. Isn't it nuts how you feel it? You can kind of feel it.
Well, we had a streak going there where that was like experience after experience. It was like we would all finally get back at the same base. We'd get a vehicle. We'd get in it. We'd start going, and then it would get blown up. Whether it was helicopter, Jeep, van,
remember that other day when we were driving down the middle of that town, and then that soldier and the Russian soldier came out into the middle of the street. We could tell, like, I think Pepe's like, "Is that a bad guy?" And then all of a sudden you hear it.
And then it's boom, and it's black, and then you're looking at the map, and like you've lost contact with everyone, and you're like, there's not, you can't even have that moment where you're like, well, that went bad, like, you're just like, fuck, yeah.
Well, that went bad.
Yeah, I've learned, like, I wait, like you want to be the last one to get in the vehicle, like you don't want to sit there and wait on everyone else to fumble around.
Oh yeah, I've seen like helmets fly off and head forward and foreheads just go boop, like lean.
Enough times you're like, I think I'll sit in the middle here, guys.
Hey, fellow gamers. Hold on, that didn't come out right.
No, that's perfect.
Maybe we should just leave that. Hey, fellow gamers, if you haven't already, go on to Spotify, give us a follow and a 5-star rating. That would help us a bunch. We really need the support. It gets us out there to more fellow gamers like yourself. And yes, I will leave that blooper.
That's right. Because we love you gamos.
Well, we're at the halfway point of this amazing episode on Arma. Let me drop some recent stats here. As of January 25th of this year, 2025, Arma Reforger reached an all-time peak of 21,018 concurrent players on Steam. The game has also achieved over 1.1 million total copies sold across PC, Xbox, and PlayStation platforms. So that's pretty good. And we've also got a huge this update's been all over the place, Chuck. Everyone's really excited about it. I have mixed feelings personally, but before we get into how we're feeling about this update, let me just kind of break it down. I think it's kind of like been referred to as the 1.3 update, known as the Final Strike milestone, because there is a roadmap for Arma Reforger, fellow gamers, fellow troopers. You can check that out. It's out there online. Just look for Arma Reforger roadmap. And I think their roadmap also has a modding competition involved. I think it was announced. I don't know if it's part of their roadmap exactly, but they did announce like a modding competition called Make Arma Not War. So we'll see what kind of mods they do with their Infusion engine. But yeah, this 1.3 update, it's got some crazy features and improvements. One of them is destruction system enhancements. The update will implement foundational destruction mechanics for buildings and trees, enhancing realism and immersion. The system is designed for future expansion, with a focus on optimizing performance to handle the increased computational demands of destructional environments. Let's break that down before we go on to the next features. Destruction system enhancements. What does that feel like to you, Chuck? What are you thinking?
I think about Battlefield. Like, I feel like they set the bar of the best, like, I've ever, in a war type game. Like, I've watched buildings blow up in there and been super impressed. So I think about that. Like, is it going to be like that?
I think I can answer that question, at least with what I've seen as I've seen some gameplay. And, now that they're mentioning it here, foundational destruction mechanics. Unfortunately, Chuck, I do not think it is going to be like Battlefield, at least for the time being. Here's how I would look at it. You think of a building and think of it having its own like health meter. Uh-huh. Think of like Elden Ring. You know how there's like the health meter on the boss? Mm-hmm. Or like on our Ark when we fight the bosses. Think of that health meter going down, and once it goes down, the whole entire building is going to go uniformly.
Kind of like with a preset animation of sorts, or
from exactly like corner to corner, if you will. So it's not like they're going to be able to like launch a rocket or an RPG into one particular window and it just knocks out that side of the wall.
Oh, that would be tight. I bet
that would be the way to go, right? Like Battlefield. Mm. But what I like seeing here is it says with a focus. It says, oops, sorry, what? It says the system is designed for future expansion. So hopefully they will find a way to, to implement that. And I was talking to Pepe Tortilla about this, and he said, you know what, to kind of stand on the side of the developers here and in their defense, it's kind of, it must be extremely challenging on such a large map that's played on an online server like that, where, it's not like a small map like Battlefield, but this huge immersive map where things are always evolving and changing. To be able to implement the building collapsing in that kind of a style must be challenging. He was pointing that out, and I said, I feel, and it was ultimately, I'd rather have some form of destruction than none. So,
yeah.
But that's actually why I kind of have mixed feelings about the destruction thing, or about the update in general, was because of that point, is that it's going to seem kind of weird when a building just kind of like uniformly crashes down, it's going to look, I asked myself if it's almost better to not have it. But I'd rather have it, I think. And we'll see. This isn't out yet. It's coming up. Because we did, we forgot to mention that there already was a small update which fixed the night thing. We don't have to backtrack and go into that. But basically, fellow gamers, there's like the night cycle on Arma on the PS5 is insane. It was like pitch black, which actually gave it an aspect of realism to a certain extent, because if you're out in the wilderness like that, or, the rural areas, it's going to be pitch black.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it shut you down, man. I mean, you had a choice of turning on your light and giving away your position, or just hunkering down till daylight, essentially.
Pretty much. Yeah. So they fixed that, but that was in kind of like a quick fix. This update we're talking about, 1.3, is more expansive. The next thing is helicopter offensive weapons. Players will gain access to helicopter-mounted weapons, including rocket pods and aiming devices for the UH-1H and the Mi-8 helicopters. Each helicopter offers unique fight characteristics catering to different combat strategies. The update also introduces a system for managing rocket pod rearming, adding a strategic layer to air combat. So that means when we get those dope pilots like that guy from the other day, dude,
they're going to be able to...
He'll be like, hold on, boys, I'm going to do a little strafing run here first before we put you down.
Dude, I've got. I feel like I've already like there must be some mods out there that this already happens in, because I've saw a video, and the sites were like from that same era, kind of like, so it looked really cool, but it also looked really hard. Like it was almost like a hard mounted sight.
Yeah, it comes down like this.
Yeah, kind of reminds me of the targeting computer from when they're running on the Death Star there in Star Wars in the yeah. Like,
in the TIE fighter thing when he's like,
or in the X-wings when it's like a targeting computer and they're like
for the torpedoes.
He turns his off and just uses the feel or whatever from the Force. Yeah,
use the Force, dog.
Yeah, so
come on.
Yeah,
you got Obi-Wan talking to him.
But that little
Use
targeting
the Force,
computer,
Luke.
like, but this one doesn't even have the digital that one had. This is like a fixed ass thing. The Russian one looked like it was on the pillar, and then the U.S. one was a little better. It looked like it was more a little bit of a heads up display kind of, but not much better. Russians are like, yeah, you're good enough. Like, but yeah, it looked cool as shit. They were strafing the fuck out of some people.
Yeah, and you're right. These mods do exist, and they're out there, and that's important to note. Is that these are coming to the vanilla official maps and gameplay.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, the mods go way beyond this stuff. Mods are mods are coming to PlayStation, but not yet. And I don't believe mods are included in this 1.3 update. Mods is like when they bring mods to PlayStation. That's kind of like the main thing that they're working on right now. This is like, I think this is more of like while we're working on mods, here's this huge update.
Yeah.
I don't think mods is in this.
Yeah. Well, what else they got in there? Anything?
Yes, sir.
So,
Mortars. Both Soviet and U.S. factions will receive mortars, providing essential fire support for long-range engagements. Players can deploy standalone mortars or full compositions, including sandbag barriers and ammunition crates. These mortars are fully destructible, adding depth to battlefield tactics. What's cool about the mortars too, man, is like it comes with like a grid sheet. Like you can get an actual like coordinate grid, like where they're like, so you'll have one guy like, all right, we need it, and you'll set the
up 5 degrees.
Yep, exactly. You'll find the longitude, latitudes, and all that, and then you'll have the one guy set up the mortar. And I think there's like also these different firing phases where they use these rings. Don't quote me on this. I was kind of like half falling asleep when I was listening to like a YouTube episode about it. I was kind of nodding off. But basically something's going on there where you're going to be able to not only fire one mortar, but like a series of like, like so there's something going on there. We'll have to see how that works out.
Like a fire team, mortar fire team. That's something I have. Like there's been a little bit of hype on TikTok about, and they'll show a video of like kind of almost like a 3-man team, kind of like you'll see in real life, like people dealing with mortars and
yep.
Yeah, it looks pretty like and I like that it's coming with the buildings blowing up. Like that makes sense, if
Indeed. And what does it say here? Yeah, it says that the update is already out on Steam, and it's only on Steam for the moment, but it will be coming out on PlayStation soon. So that's something that we're looking forward to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have to say we've got the bug a little bit. I was looking forward to playing. I've definitely still been doing my time on Ark, but when it kind of lulls down, I start thinking about it. Like I'd like to get a good session in there.
Absolutely. Oh, you know what? I think I forgot to mention. I don't know. I saw this on some videos and not on all of them, but I think another thing that's coming in the update, man, are these armored personnel vehicles that are like they're kind of like, they're not quite tanks, but they're like, imagine tanks but on regular wheels,
like APCs.
Exactly, like armored personnel characters I remember I got to train in a simulator of one when I was in that Army high school for a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah, I got to go. It was called a armored personnel AP. I don't remember.
There was something in Call of Duty that was kind of like that. Occasionally, I would fight.
Yep.
It's exactly like you described. It's almost like a tank on tires.
So I think there's something about those coming out too with this update.
Okay.
Because, but maybe they're already out because I did ride in one of those the other day.
I think they're on the Russian side.
They're on okay, but the American one's going to be coming out then.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, because I knew there was something I was missing about that update because that's a big update. It's a big update. It's going to be great.
It's pretty exciting. I have to say, just coming from somebody that hadn't played last week, our last episode, and having played now, like I have genuinely enjoyed it. It's well worth the money involved in it. I guess I will say, like, if it is kind of hard to do alone. Like I haven't found myself just sitting down, when you guys aren't on, thinking like, I'm going to jump in here. Like
exactly. Me too. Same. I haven't. It's not something I've wanted to play alone.
I maybe in creator mode or something. I have wanted to get better, and when I did ultimately play it alone, like Ark was kind of down there the other day, and I really had no choice but to do something else. And I thought, well, I'll go in here and like do the training and that kind of thing. But yeah, the extrovert in me, especially when I'm alone, it's kind of hard to just break through that barrier. But I would like it. Just you got to get involved. I like to kind of observe people.
Why don't we both
at first, like if I see people interacting, being good human beings, I'm all for jumping in there. But occasionally, it's just kind of, I don't know. Like
but you got to jump in there to find out, right?
We should both listen. You can certainly be a fly on the wall in this game a little bit, and
yeah. And if you find like a good squad or someone that's like, all right, guys, hey, let's go hit up Introdu and readjust the tower, get relays going and communications back online, and then we're gonna go down and he's just being like, chill and not all like aggro or saying crazy stuff or like mean things, and like, you know what, I might kind of just like turn my radio on now. Incorporate, hey, so and so. I'm Chuck T reporting for duty. How can I help? Where do you need me?
Yeah. We've definitely run across like a character I've seen a few times is somebody that's just frustrated with everybody else just lollygagging around the fucking map. And because it does take a while to kind of really grasp the big picture, like what needs to be done and, what factors into something. I think we're still learning that. Like there's sort of a grid of sorts that what like we got in that situation. Can you explain a little bit more like why last night we were trying to take that one base and then all of a sudden like you said, like, well, our opportunity to do it has gone away. Like I don't know that I ever understood why, but I have noticed like there's these lines on the map that I think have something to do with that.
Yeah, it's the communication and the relays.
Yeah.
You can only really like hold objectives and take objectives as far as your relay extends. That's really it. So if basically the way you tell is by how the little objectives in towns and how the objectives are marked, are they green, are they blue, are they red, are they yellow, little yellow crosses. But basically it depends on what team you're on, but if you're on the U.S. team, you'll have red ones and blue ones. The blue ones are the locations and objectives that you've already captured. Now, just because you've captured them doesn't mean that you can spawn there or that other people can spawn there, which is what you want them to be able to do. For that to be able to happen, there has to be a relay station which brings communication up to that point. So it's not just a place that you've captured, but now you've brought communication up to that point. And that will also extend your ability to conquer the next spot. But until you've brought communication up to that point, that next spot, it's not going to be like green, perhaps with NPCs. It's going to be this weird yellow cross, which means that it's just not capturable yet.
I see. That makes sense.
So what happened is in that situation from the other day, I might have that wrong. I think that's how it works. I'm pretty darn sure. If any fellow Arma players out there, correct me if I'm wrong. Please let us know. But that's how it works. And the reason, like, we had that situation where we were capturing a base, and then all of a sudden we just weren't capturing it anymore. It wasn't because there was more players there than us. It was because a base further back was recaptured by the enemy, cutting off the network. So it brought the whole line back. So it was kind of like taken out of our hands, if you will.
Yeah, there's a lot
we were cut off. We were cut off.
There's some realism that they've added that I don't even think I understand yet, but it makes like sense in real life. You know, like how that works. And
we in that situation where we had literally been cut off behind enemy lines in the game.
I see. Yeah.
Get it? We were cut off, literally.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, like I've recently saw footage of some of the conflicts going on, and it seems like that's one of the problems that happens in these things. You know, your road that you were using gets compromised somehow or something, and you know, obviously everybody's got to eat and shit and do all them things up there, and like it like eventually takes a toll on what you can do on the battlefield. Like
it's crazy.
That's wild. Yeah.
It's insane. No, and dude. I don't know if you kind of like spotted this perhaps because you can see what I'm playing and everything because you know how the systems are, but not long after I got into Arma Reforger, I went and downloaded Hell Let Loose because it was on sale.
You did get the milsim bug fucking.
I got the milsim bug, dude. I'm bugged out, dude. And that Hell Let Loose is imagine Arma Reforger but in World War II. So it's got it's crazy, man, especially when you're using like the old school like machine guns and the M1 Garand rifle, you know, and you get the 7 or 8 shots off and then it makes that iconic World War II sound of that rifle where the cartridge shoots out the bottom. You know, have you ever heard that sound?
Springfield.
Pop, 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 cling, and it shoots out. And you can same thing. There's no reticle. There's none of that. And you just see like the German, you know, Nazi dude just going like, and you're like, oh. You know, and then you get, or if you're on the German side and you get that iconic MG42, the Ripper zipper machine gun. You know oh man, that game is also
like a 50 cal. Like
it's their
mounted.
Yeah, it's their machine gun, their mounted machine gun, but it's called the MG42, and it if you listen to it, man, it was the nightmare, the terror of all infantry back in that because it was just so much gnarlier and faster. And it made this particular unique sound that sounded like a zipper unzipping. That's how fast it would just like gnarly, like, you know, where the American one's like, this one would be like, just freaking, yeah, it's different. Yeah, dude, listen to that. Go check that out online. I'm sure there's like audio.
Yeah, I know. I've definitely saw it in movies. A lot of times, like your more intense war movies, I just can't watch them. Like I have an overactive sense of empathy, like your Saving Private Ryan type ones or whatever. Like about halfway through that movie, I had to check out. I was like,
dude, the amount of tears I shed watching that movie, like from minute one, like coming right into right at the first scene where the old Matt Damon is like looking down on the grave and just tearing up. I started tearing up, like because exactly. I just like, and it. I don't want to. Get sidetracked, but you know, it's like, man.
Yeah, well, like
and that was only
like
that wasn't that long ago. That wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, I don't even want to scream where I was at, but yeah, it's tough. Yeah, so stuff like that is a little hard for me. So I typically check out, and it's like I say, like. The first night we played this game, I had to check myself before I went to bed. Like, you know, like, do I need to watch a couple episodes of Scooby-Doo or something before I go?
Yeah, just to remind yourself that it's like, okay, it's just,
everything's going to be all right. So don't mess with those meddling kids and that dog. But
the world's going to calm down. The world's going to calm down. Right? Because, let's not get into that.
Yeah.
But shoot, Chuck, we're pretty much at an hour, man. We can I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. I guess I just like to throw in here like I did a little bit earlier, just somebody that hadn't played that has now, like highly recommend, you know, 2 thumbs up, get in there.
Yeah, especially if you're
give Arma a try.
Yeah, right. And hey, Chuck, I gotta say, I'm stoked to hear that, man, because I remember Pepe and I were even talking about it. Like, it's like, God, we know, like, I know Chuck will love this game, But in the beginning, it's going to be a real pain in the ass.
Yeah, I knew that too, and I don't know, I just wasn't ready for it at the moment, and I definitely, respect and appreciate y'all's patience, and yeah, it's been fun. I will say, like there's been like there are some weird moments, like where, like I've had to do a hard checkout, like where we're playing like that because of that radio system, and it's like I've made up my mind I'm gonna be a little more serious about getting up early and going to the gym and shit, and like down and see it's time, and I've just had to be like send you guys a message and or something like there's something about that radio system that makes it a little awkward at times. It feels like
no.
We're not in our traditional party or whatever, but it also has that ton of realism. You mentioned in our last episode, like the fact that you can listen to other people's, like I talked about, like using that proximity chat, but you mentioned last time you can actually steal a dead man's radio.
Yes, and tune in
and listen
in on the channel that they left it on.
I want to do that soon. I haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
Like
Dude,
I want to
do
do
that.
that.
Idea. That is a good idea. Oh, I haven't done that yet either. I just know that it can be done.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Well, you know my Sunday routine. As soon as I finish getting this this episode all edited up and ready for the fellow gamers out there, I'll be online.
Heck yeah, man. Me too.
And on that note, fellow gamers, please, whenever you're just tuning in or hitting up some games, we would super, super appreciate, a solid rating, a solid review on whatever you happen to listen to podcasts on. It really helps us get out there to more fellow gamers. And yeah, if you do know anyone that likes podcasts and that also loves gaming, please feel free to share the pod with them. It really does help us. There's a lot of podcasts out there these days, and your help is super appreciated, and it's super helpful. It really is. And Chuck, thank you, man, for being such an awesome co-host.
Appreciate you. Yeah, same to you, man. I hope everybody has a good couple weeks, and look forward to seeing y'all on the next one.
Yeah, we'll be back soon. Chuck, thanks, and thank you, everyone.
Peace.